For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. I like that scripture primarily because, yeah, because life isn't really about just always being up all the time. Sometimes there's gonna come a time where you need to make a pivot, where you fall down, you need to get up. Sometimes you're gonna be moving in the right direction. You're gonna be, staying on top of your game. You're gonna be going to the gym at 3, 4, 5 times a week. You're gonna be studying 2, 3 hours a day. You're gonna be on your routine to the point where it feels normal to you. And then one day, an opportunity arises that demands all your attention, or a bill pops up that you can't just pay immediately. You got to lock in order to pay that bill. You're in a crazy amount of debt, and you need to pay it off because it's stressing you out, right? You have kids, you have family, whatever that is, right? You There's something that has sometimes life stuff happens, and you're just left there to take it. And eventually you start moving away from your habits that you made before that made you happy. And you're good, don't trip. What made you happy, and then all of a sudden you move away from them to pursue life stuff or to handle life stuff. And you have to remember or even who you were before all that stuff started, and you want to get back into your routine. What this video is going to be about is going to be about restarting. We talked about the importance of self-starting, the advantages of self-starting. How many was that? I don't even know. I feel like that was 10, but I'm gonna do 2 more just to make sure. Um, all that stuff. But the point is that this video is gonna basically be talking about getting back up or getting back on your routine when you stopped originally. So for those who don't know, I was a part of a 2-month internship slash program where I was learning a ton about technology. I was getting my Cisco Essential, become TA Plus certification, whatever. Y'all heard about that already. Okay. Now during that time period, right? During that time period, while I was focused on getting all my certs and everything, I neglected my health. Right? I wasn't active. I wasn't working out. I wasn't even eating properly. And on top of that, I was also unemployed during that time period. I was living off my savings. So I made a video about that. I think in a poor man's finances video. I need some more. Okay, anyway. I was unemployed, and I was really concerned about getting the proper calories in, the proper eating in. So I stopped that altogether because I was worried about not making it during that time period, right? Now, this might be a little bit hard on myself. I started making excuses for myself, right? I started talking about how I was mentally exhausted and didn't have the energy to go to a physical activity in the gym. Stupid, I know. I started, and because of that, I started slacking off in other areas. I cared less about what I put in my body. I cared less about what I ate. I cared less about the thing that I care about, which is physical fitness. Not only because I want to look like a black David Lade, but also, it gave me structure. It gave me routine. It gave me all these other intangibles that I could have used in different areas of my life. I missed out on building my emotional toughness, my mental toughness, while still paying for a gym membership. And that's how they make your money off you, bro. That's how they make the money off you. Is by when you pay for that gym membership and you don't go, that's where they make their money. You can't let them make their money. right? They got a business plan for that. Right now, looking back at it, I probably should have did my best to try to stay in shape. You know, whether it be boxing, walking, or just finding a way to work out 30 minutes every day. But I didn't do any of that crap. I didn't do any of that crap. And I really should have made the effort to do that. That being said, when the program ended, I dreaded going back to the gym. I dreaded it. Not because I hated the lifting portion. I already demonstrated I was able to, stick to a schedule, stick to a plan. The reason why it was a big deal for me is because I I remember where I used to be at. I remember how strong I used to be on the rows, on the deadlift, on my bench. Even though I was almost 225 on a barbell row, and I may not be impressive for the vast majority of the gym community, but I earned that shit. Okay, I earned that shit. I went from 119 pounds to 154 pounds. Okay, not all in muscle, but I still earned that. I still put in the proper work in order to get there in the first place, right? I wasn't just lazing around doing nothing all day. I put in effort in order to do that. And when I thought about going back to the gym and just restarting my routine, it felt like restarting. It felt like I started from nothing. And the key word here is feelings, okay? Because I'm not technically starting from nothing. I'm really just starting from a different place. Like if when I was first starting out, I could only do 25 pounds on the hack squat. Okay. Now I can start in the gym at 45 pounds on the hack squat because I've just grown a lot stronger since then. I put in all the effort. My discipline is still here. My muscle memory is still here. Um, but when it comes to my emotions and in my heart, when I came over here or when I wanted to get back into it, I still dreaded it because it was just like, dang, I remember where I used to be, but I'm not there anymore. And that was kind of discouraging for me. If all that wasn't enough, right? I wanted to get back to filming in the gym. hmm And that would mean I had to charge my microphone. I have to charge my phone. I have to make sure there's some sort of scripts that are written. I had to make sure. Ooh, this is way too heavy. I had to make sure there was some level of preparedness that came along with it, and I dreaded that too because I was like, I really don't want to do all this stuff. Now you can be saying you didn't have to film content in the gym. I've looked at the numbers. Okay, this type of content performs a lot better. Okay, when you're a guy like me at this level of small YouTuberdom, and I want everything really fast, I want to come up with good ideas to at least make it to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. That'd be cool. Maybe 1,000. You know what? 1,000. I'm gonna try to shoot for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Right now, that being said, um, I essentially, with all that stuff going on in my head, right, I made a mountain out of my problems, right, when it wasn't even necessary to do so. I made a mountain out of um, just doing the things that I did already. Like your brain never do that. Like it's one really simple decision. It's one really simple decision, but it feels like a heavy anvil that's on your head. And it's not that I was like lazy or that I didn't want to do it. I was just overwhelmed with restarting. I made everything um I made everything uber complicated in my head when all I had to do was just charge my phone, just charge my microphone, have the nightstand in my gym bag, and do the scripts on Saturday at 10 o'clock when I go to the library. That's all I had to do. But that's what happens in your mind when you're restarting sometimes. I'm experiencing it right now. I'm probably going to experience it later on. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to have to experience it when I'm studying for my Network Plus. Something I did do was that I met with my personal trainer. I meet with him at least once a month. And during that time period, just ask him questions. We shoot the shit, whatever. Right? But here's the thing. I asked him, hey, look, what should I do about getting back into the gym? Right? Nothing about content creation because he didn't do that stuff. But what can I do to at least start going back to the gym? He was like, hey, to try to keep your workouts to 30 to 45 minutes, make sure you're doing your compound lifts, and don't beat yourself too much if you're not able to get through everything. I said, amen. And I started implementing that off screen. You saw that a little bit. I'm not sure when I came back to doing the gym content, but when you saw that, or I'm sorry, when I heard that, it wasn't necessarily like, wow, totally. But it was definitely some it just reconfirmed some stuff that I already thought in my head. Like I already knew the answer, but I needed a professional opinion, right? Because this guy makes his money doing this stuff, right? So I started implementing that off screen. Some of y'all actually already saw that when I was sitting down doing the chest press or whatnot on the machine here. But that's the place where I started, you know? And through my journey of restarting, especially in this gym stuff, there's a couple lessons I learned. The first lesson was simply reconnecting with what I value, okay? So essentially, obviously, you asked the question, what do you really value, right? In a couple of videos before this, I was talking about how I value freedom, being able to do what I want, whenever I want, and however I want to do it. 9, 11, right? Whenever I want to do it. Now, the second thing I wanted to do was ask why, okay? I think freedom is the ultimate demonstration of power, right? Even with God, right? Something that makes him all powerful. He could do whatever he wants to do and not have justification for it. I'm just using that as an example, right? I don't think God is like me in any capacity because I'm human. You know, he does everything perfectly. That being said, right, that's the stuff that I value. I don't want to be shackled by a country that I'm in. I don't want to be shackled by the income that I'm making. I don't want to be shackled by the opportunities that I'm given. I don't want to be shackled by, not being able to move my body the way I want to. I don't want to be shackled in situations where I need to defend myself and I don't know how to. Giving yourself tools to get further is very important to me. So not only reconnecting with what you value, but why you value it. Okay. I didn't like rules growing up. I didn't really like a lot of rules growing up. When you're a kid, you're like, when I'm an adult, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. If you're an adult now, you know that's a damn lie. You know you can't do whatever you want to do. You gotta follow the laws. You're kind of restricted to how much money you make for what you can do, unless you're willing to get into an absurd amount of debt. You don't know how long you're gonna live, so you might end up 65 years old and having no savings in your 401k, all this other stuff, right? You're kind of limited to what you can do, right? Whether it's based off income, environment, circumstances, or whatnot, right? As a kid, I learned that very young. And that the people who are able to violate the rules and still get away with it, and now I'm not talking about like breaking the law or anything. I'm talking about small life conveniences. Like you're so good at your job that you can come in 15 minutes late after showing up early for the last year and a half, right? And then you do your job and you do it well. I'm talking about like those types of benefits, right? Now, obviously, in certain fields, you can't do that, but I'm just using that as an example, right? Freedom is something that you cannot exchange for a whole lot of anything, okay? Even when there's rules, there are people who can circumvent the rules, they can get over the rules, they can pay through the rules, they can pay to violate the rules, that type of stuff. Essentially, after I figured out what mattered, I wanted to reduce the amount of friction it took me to get there. So, right before I was talking about wanting to film, right, and how it was overwhelming in my head about filming or whatnot, right? But really, all I really needed was just to simplify what I needed. It was a mic, a script, and a camera, right? So obviously, what I did from there, I made sure my mic was charged, my camera was charged, and my camera, mic, camera, and I had all my stuff ready in my bag already in case I wanted to do anything, right? From there, From there, essentially, before I even put it in my schedule, I already knew I didn't want to record every single workout because that would have been overwhelming for me. Kind of like going back to easing into your routine, right? Or when you're starting again. So instead, I decided um, Saturday and Sunday are going to be the days that I film content, whether it be in batches, whether it be in anything else. I ultimately cared about just building up consistency for the content that I'm creating. You want to try to reduce the amount of friction it takes you to get started again. If it's, like discussed this before, if you want to get better at reading a book, pick a word a day, try to put it into your regular vocabulary when you're speaking to somebody. If it's investing, 5% of your income, pick a total market fund, uh, S&P 500 fund, ETF or whatnot, not financial advice, but using it as an example, but figure out a way to reduce friction. Try to make it easy to do the productive thing and make it harder to do the easy thing. Using it as an example. The third lesson that I learned is that you have to take inventory of your schedule, right? Now, like how often you scroll, how often you eat out, how long it takes you to shower, how long it takes you to get to work. The more detailed, the better it is for you. Because when you're not able to see how you're spending your time, you won't know where to put it in your schedule. Okay? And it's something that I did originally, right? I didn't really go in depth into it because I've already done the exercise before. But when I was talking about my program and me making excuses, what I meant is that during my program was from 9 to 3 o'clock. My job was from 6 to 10 o'clock, and I didn't have that job for at least a month, maybe two ish, a month, maybe two ish. And with that, and with that, I And with that, I was introduced to so much new material that my brain just felt super fried and super unable to go work out. That was the excuses that I made in my head, right? But after that month of making those excuses and being like, dang, you know what? I still need to go to the gym. And matter of fact, it was actually one of my classmates that helped me put into perspective. Like this guy was jacked. He's the same age as I am, and he's dang near almost competition ready. Same height, same age, like almost everything about us, at least on a physical level, was the same, except for like obviously being in shape. Like basically, I saw a reflection of what I could have been if I took my life more seriously. Took my life more seriously at that time, so I don't have to try as hard now to try to get in shape and look good, right? So essentially, from there, I start listing out. Okay, I actually have between 3 o'clock and 6 or to actually go to the gym and work out. I don't need to film it, or even if I want to, I do have enough time to film it. Was I willing to make that sacrifice? Was I willing to make that time when I was already tired and mentally exhausted just to go to my job and go work out again? Like, are you kidding me? Irritating me, right? Regardless, start there with your scheduling. Check where you actually can work, right? And then actually go execute on it. I think a lot of time we think we may have a time issue. A lot of the times though, if you did not put in the proper steps into actually checking your schedule and making sure you literally did not have time, you probably haven't looked for it. Just saying. That or you need to make time. I'm gonna finish this set real quick. 3, 4. Okay, cool. Yeah. The fourth lesson that I took from was that start is that when you're restarting, you don't start where your ego wants you to start in the first place. That's the fourth lesson, right? You just want to start coming back slowly. One of the biggest problems that I had, at least mentally, was the fact that when I wanted to get back into the gym, I wanted to absolutely destroy myself. I wanted to go as hard as humanly possible, and and just go at it, right, till I stopped. The only issue is that I knew in my heart that, oh my gosh, what is that, 10, 15, 12? I don't really care. It just hurts. Is that if I started out too hard, my current self would quit because I already demonstrated the desire not to do anything based off my thoughts and my previous thought patterns, right? So I knew I should probably start out slow and that I needed to do at least 30 to 45 minutes a day. So in order to make that happen, I did some research. I was like, okay, cool. And I look back at my memories is that one of the things that made it easy was boxing, because boxing was something that didn't require a lot of physical exertion from me. I could become better at it over time by constant repetition, and it wasn't like hard for barrier to entry, and I had all the stuff already, right? So it was just a lot easier for me to do that as an excuse to go to the gym or whatnot, right? And that's something I first did when I came to Las Vegas, right? In order, like I wanted to, learn how to fight well, to box well, and that's something I did to start getting me in shape, at least at the jump, right? So I'm kind of doing that right now, right? I'm doing my boxing training, I'm doing my workout training, I'm keeping it short. I went on Tony Jeffries' channels and I'm like, it's like, well, listen, man, you gotta do these 3 exercise routines, and this is what I do to start out. So I basically took that, I added my own little twist and spin on it, and now I'm here making this video for you in the gym, right? It started out small, but eventually, okay, but eventually it started going. I started I started being able to record more. I started to be able to talk about my scripts more. I started to be able to focus more often because I got used to the schedule that I put myself through in order to make this video. I'm sorry. Coming Undone by Korn is playing at my gym right now, and I'm kind of distracted because I want to say, wait, I'm coming undone. Anyway, but that's basically how I started, right? I just wanted to practice my jab, do some calisthenics, um, shadow box, all that stuff. You guys been kind of seeing that through our growth philosophy series with the gym stuff, but that's pretty much the whole point of doing it. You know what I'm saying? Um, just don't start too hard because you don't want to quit. Because then what's the point of even having all those emotions in the first place? Like you just wasted it. Anyway, the last lesson that I picked up from this is that continue on, because all of this stuff doesn't matter if you start and then you stop immediately afterward. Okay? You're not going to get anywhere with that. Life doesn't grow through hypotheticals. It grows through execution. Okay? It doesn't grow through I wish I did, or I could have did, I would have did, I should have did. It grows through I did do this and I have done that, and I need to do this and I'm going to go do that. This is what I'm doing right now. Right? And doing that for a very long time as you see results, and we're going to, and oh, I forgot. This is the one of the final videos to the first part of the growth philosophy series. We just finished up starting. Now we're getting into continuing on, which is probably going to be like the bulk of the growth philosophy. But anyway, let me get my Bible real quick. So just for the sake of, I keep saying I was going to keep on doing this and I keep on forgetting, but wow, it's here, right? So this first part of the growth series is inspired by Proverbs 6:6-8. Let me see. It says, go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores provisions in the summer and gathers foods at harvest, right? How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man, right? That's what this mainly was inspired by. The ant don't need somebody else to tell him to get up and go do all this other stuff, right? The ant doesn't need you, it just does it, right? You could say from pheromones, instinct, whatever, but you can take aspects of that animal and practice that and take some aspects, like Kenpo, perfect example. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about. Anywho, You have to start, then you have to continue on, then you have to intentionally grow and get some extra eyes on it. Okay? I look tired as a mug. I haven't been able to sleep well at all recently. If you get nothing else from this video, right, this is really, truly my final challenge to you, right? If there's something that you stopped doing, if there's something that you really have been wanting to do or to get back into, figure out a way to get back into it. Figure out a way to restart. You know, we talked about it in this video. Figure out what matters and your why. Look at your schedule. What are you doing? Make time for it, whatever. Continue on. Once you start doing it, just rewatch the video. You're gonna get all of it anyway, right? Just put in some effort into getting the stuff that you want to get done. And remember, if you fall down, it's okay, right? Proverbs 24:16. Where is it at? Proverbs 24:16 in my Bible right here. This is what this video is mainly focusing on. It's Proverbs 24:15 through 16. Do not lurk like a thief near the house of the righteous. Do not plunder their dwelling place. For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. Right? Very basic. I love Proverbs. Very straight to the point, straightforward, all that other stuff. But please, that's what this is inspired by. This video in particular, that's what it was inspired by. Please do not slack off on your dreams. Do not slack off on what you want to get done. Do not slack off on what you value the most if you have the opportunity to do it. If you need help, just rewatch the video, get some frameworks, get some extra eyes on it, get some advice from a friend, all the other stuff. I'm gonna stop talking. Triumph Athletic, code MINT, MINT. We back into it. 10% off your order. I'm out. Bye.